and let us all do we can to build a better future.
I've been talking on this show, as you all know, I'm just so concerned that we're just moving to a corporatocracy in this country where people are just going to be aligning themselves with the corporation, the old, Pullmanvilles, the old company stores, and that people will have to rely solely on an employer for many aspects of their lives, including things like charter schools for their kids, education, medical care. We're already, attached to our employers and have been for a while for medical care. For example, excuse me, pollen. And I've talked about, how, for example, PetSmart has their scam going. I've been talking about how Amazon can keep workers quiet by hiring vulnerable populations. And now we have this, Chick-fil-A. Now, this was not Chick-fil-A corporate. This was one franchised store. I want to make that as clear as I can. It was a North Carolina Chick-fil-A in Hendersonville. Apparently, they have this new thing called the Express, and the drive-through Express. So what you can do is you can pre-order your meals. You get in line through this drive-through. You scan a QR code, and somebody hands you your chicken sandwich or whatever it is that you want, and your waffle fries. Apparently, they were looking for people to staff these lines to make sure people were getting to the right place. But instead of paying them, they were looking for volunteers. They wanted volunteers, and you would get paid 5 free entrees an hour to be a volunteer if that position is a good fit for you.
I can see somebody, some poor person right now trying to okay, hey, volunteer, they're going to pay me. I'm looking forward to it. Maybe they didn't read the fine content, and it's pay me in 5 entrees. What the hell?
There was a scene in in the Grapes of Wrath.
Okay.
Which was about the Dust Bowl and what had happened to the farmers from Oklahoma, the tenant farmers who had to move into California, and they were terribly exploited. And on their way, the Joad family, on their way to California, they're at some rest stop, and they're talking to folks. And man said, well, actually, yeah, I'm coming back from California. He said, he said, you must have a lot of money to be going out to California. Joad said, no, but we got good men here. We're going to work. And he said, you mean picking peaches and oranges? Yeah. He said, do you understand what happened? They printed up a bunch of those flyers. You're going to get out there. They're going to cut your wages. And he said, look, I went out there with my wife and my 2 kids. The work dried up. I couldn't get any work. Finally, I was able to get a job, but I was not being paid in wages. I was working to get a cup of flour and a cup of lard, and my children died of starvation.
Oh God!
And and one of the things about when Steinbeck wrote that, he actually toned it down. As horrific as the Grapes of Wrath was, he actually toned it down because he didn't think anybody was going to believe him, because it was so over the top what was happening to these families. And this is the kind of thing where, okay, you get desperate people, maybe people who couldn't pass their qualifications, maybe, I don't know, of a drug test, or they may have a background issue. They're desperate enough. Okay, we'll put a vest on you, put you out there with traffic coming at you, rain or shine, so you can direct people to use the drive-through express, and we're going to pay you in chicken sandwiches.
Okay, so here's the thing. Well, as crazy and funny as this story does sound, and look, I'm still laughing at it. Not only is it illegal, but I want to just bring this up. Think about how much sustain that Chick-fil-A right there, because it's not the company. It's just this Chick-fil-A.
It's just that franchise. It's not even owned.
So there we go. So here's the thing. This is their absolute disdain for people that need a job, that people need work. They're willing to, and look, we got a healthcare crisis in this country too. They're just going to pay them 5 entrees from their fast food joint. Oh, whoop-dee-doo. It's all crap. People need money. People need wages. Don't pay them 5 entrees. Big deal.
But how many, you have a situation, I think they were hoping for people to be desperate enough. Some old lady who's got no food at home, or you got people who have kids at home. Okay, I can go out there, work for an hour, I'll feed my family for the evening. This is illegal. Okay, first of all, the fair labor laws in this country do not allow for you to do that. And they specifically do not allow for volunteering for for-profit organizations. Now, mercifully, this blew up. People are still insulting this Chick-fil-A.
Good, they should.
On social media.
Here, wait, I got a perfect insult. Mahmoud Rani tipped $2. What if Jesus instead eats at Popeyes? Like Jesus, like someone should have Jesus come down from the earth. He looks at Chick-fil-A, gives a no, but sees a Popeyes and goes, yeah. Because I don't see Popeyes doing this. We're not sponsored by Popeyes.
But we'd like to be. No, I mean, the fact that they even thought this was cool. I mean, first of all, it clearly means that Chick-fil-A franchisees who have, those franchises are not cheap. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a joke, isn't it? Chick-fil-A, cheap. In any case, they're not inexpensive. The fact that somebody is owning a company like that, a franchise, and doesn't know basic labor law, that is frightening, because it has me wondering, okay, if this is what's happening with a fairly high-profile company, what's happening in other industries where you know that this sort of thing is got to be happening? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do want to again. There is some humorous notes in here that
it is on one hand. It's just it's maddening.
But it's from the live stream chat though.
Yes.
Ecuadorian Taco 27 says, "Work for wine, LOL," and then of course Fair and Balanced does #work for wine. Now look, I like wine. Lainey has an outstanding wine report that she does. Now the thing is. Yeah, we'd work for wine, but you're also going to pay us to taste the wine, too. So there you go. We're going to put that little twisty twist
Or we take ownership of our content.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing. And these folks don't, this is they wanted free labor. And I have to ask some questions here. If they were volunteers, to what degree was that Chick-fil-A responsible if somebody got hurt? So are they're not paying any payroll taxes? They're not paying into workman's comp? Nope. They're not paying into Social Security?
Nope.
So if some moron in their car runs one of these volunteers over, who takes responsibility for that?
Not Chick-fil-A. They're paying them 5 entrees.
5 entrees an hour.
5 entrees an hour. Folks, hold on. Let's have democracy in this chat here real quick. All right. Look. Let's just say right now, this was presented before you. You mind your own business, and somebody from that Chick-fil-A says, "Hey, would you work for us? We're not going to pay you money. We're going to give you 5 entrees." Type yes, that you would. Type no, which is what I would do. Definitely type no for that. So there we go. Let's have democracy in the chat. But also I want to ask a multiple choice question here, too. All right. Now, of course, we had the humorous note from "Will work for wine." What would you work for, folks? If we lived in a better society where we had Medicare for all, social safety nets, all that kind of good stuff, universal basic income, all that kind of good stuff. What would you work for? That work for wine does sound tempting.
It is really tempting. It would actually depend on the wine that I would get. If anything, the whole thing also is that good wine has resale value. If I build up a collection of wine, I can actually, that can be auctioned off. So, there is something to that there. But these are chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, true.
And waffle fries.
Now, Mahmoud Rani put in condiments. Pat Brannigan says, "I work for money." Salty Digital Dive says, "Weed." Hugo Gutierrez says, "Money."
But weed also has resale value.
Yeah, it's true. Oh, yes, it does. And friends with weed are friends indeed. But friends with gold are the best, I'm told. And Anthony Taverna says, "Gold and silver." There you go.
Gold and silver, yeah. I mean, precious,
Yes.
It's just, I'm looking at the stories today, and it's really.
I think I'd like to add a final note for this segment. That is, Folks, we got to know our worth. We have to know our dignity, because now more than ever, we just can't take this anymore.
Yeah, I think people need to understand also that there's been a decimation of any enforcement. Mm-hmm. So, for example, the fact that there are people out there in nursing homes who are trying to exploit friends and family members, suing them for money, and those individuals don't understand what they need to do to get a lawyer or somebody to defend them in court. We don't have the legal aid levels for civil suits that we people are not guaranteed a lawyer for a civil lawsuit like that. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one way in which powerful entities can take advantage of people. And the same thing here with labor stuff. It's when, when you have clear, and like in this case with Chick-fil-A, that store, that is a clear and obvious violation of labor laws. Mm. But if nobody's available to sanction, you have no inspectors available to sanction these stores, they can run roughshod. Right. Same thing with Amazon. That there's no enforcement, there's no investment in enforcement or protecting workers' rights. That's why workers want to unionize, because nobody's protecting their rights otherwise. Yeah. And it is really, really distressing to see this happen.
It shouldn't happen in the first place.
No.